I'm going to prove to you it's a process. Oh, mic's spinning. Wait a minute. I'm going to prove to you it's a process. Hey everybody. Talking to my kids, my grandkids, my brothers and sisters in Kenya, my brothers and sisters in Ghana, my brother in Bangladesh, and whoever else considers me a teacher. God bless you. I'm going to prove to you it's a process. It's not easy doing things unlike how everyone else does things when you haven't started off with a legacy. Or in other words, you haven't started off with examples in your life that have kind of helped you along. It's easy to look at very successful people, financially billionaires, and say, wow, I would like to have that success. But you haven't taken the time to understand their legacy, that they are legacy people. I don't know, like Bill Gates, his father was very successful. Mark Zuckerberg, family, very successful. You have, to do something different and be very, very successful at it often takes more than one generation. That's why I'm doing this. I've said to my daughter, I will never be as successful as you can be. Just has flat out more years. And then she has the experience of her mother and her father and her aunts and uncles and her grandmother who have taken the time to sow into her, and all she has to do is pay attention. Please, ask questions. It's not just true for my daughter, but it's true for your sons and daughters as well. If you're intentional about laying the right foundation for them to be able to pull off something much different than your experience. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter whether you're a CEO of a corporation or you're a janitor. If you're the pastor of a church or the apostle of churches, whether you're a politician, a doctor, medical, a psychologist. So, these are principles. I keep saying that. These are principles. You have to think larger than just your generation. How we're gotten a lot of times is with our own lust for power and money and success for ourselves, saying that we will leave whatever's left over to the next generation, or we'll just teach them how to do it. No, you have to be very intentional about explaining the challenges and demonstrating with honesty how this thing works. One of the biggest factors, I think, and I was just doing some study for a PowerPoint I'm putting together for one of my, well, not for him, but one of my mentors challenged me to put together a PowerPoint on how money works, which I've done before, but anyway, I'm going to trust the process and do what he told me to do. Poverty has not changed. The same number of people are poor, and roughly the same number of people are in the middle class. it's making the jump from the middle class to the wealthy. That takes a major change. It's not even close going from poverty to middle class to what it takes to go from middle class to wealthy. The jump is enormous. But if you're willing to take the chance, it will take a lot of sacrifice because the mindset is different. It's like I explained to people, the language of an employee and the success of an employee does not look like the language of a self-employed person and the success of a self-employed person, which is worlds away from business ownership. Worlds away. Not even close. Self-employed people feel personally invested, so it's very hard for them to let go and allow other people to come in and have authority in their pet projects. Very difficult. Very, very difficult for most to take that jump. That's why I always bring up trust issues. They're trust issues. Everybody talks about how they got burnt. We've all been burnt. And quite frankly, we have all burnt. But it's interesting, we focus in on how we've been burnt, but we don't focus in on who we've burnt. I've been both. I've burned people, and I've been burned by people. That's life. That's humanity. You have to take the good with the bad and get over your fears to be successful at anything that you're looking to accomplish that is exceptional. Exceptional. Not average. Us average folk will laugh at something that's not funny if we think it will gain us some advantage. Average folks think tactically about how they can get ahead so that they can live a comfortable life. Average folks. You know, to get the dollar raise, the $2 raise, the $5 raise, the $10 raise, the promotion, audience with this person or that purpose, for the purpose of improving their business or their status. Exceptional people are not trying to improve their business or their status. They're trying to bring value to the marketplace, and they believe in what they're bringing. You see the difference? You're bringing value. You're bringing something that other people can't necessarily offer the way you offer it. So therefore, it should be accepted. The money and the status just comes with it, but that's not what you're chasing. Average people chase money and status. Exceptional people chase change. They want to be change agents. I know someone who can bring exceptional change because of the elements that they're looking to specialize in, and you don't hear about anyone bringing this type of change to a specific industry that they're bringing it to. And so one of their mentors says, wow, great idea. Go find a location to bring that change to, because I don't want you competing with me. Straight up. Now, she didn't hear it the way I heard it, but I heard it. It's awesome. It's awesome. If you focus in on bringing value, some things are going to happen when you do that. And the Word of God spells it out. And you can't be fazed by what it brings, because it will bring these things. I'm going to show you the pattern of doing something exceptional. Now, you can believe it or not believe it. Study to show yourself approved. I have been through and am going through these processes myself. I have been through and I am going through. Been there, done that, and this is the last time I'm going to do it. I try to get people who are the middle class to see what it takes to be exceptional, and the change is hard because they don't want to give up their middle class status. They think there's a possibility for them to lose security. Middle class people, their biggest scare, listen to me, is to lose their security. They want their security and they want to do something exceptional at the same time. It does not happen. Love, a component of love, is sacrifice. I hope you hear the difference. The middle class is concerned about their elevation, their security. The exceptional is about bringing value that no one else is bringing, and believing more in your value than your security. Eventually, your value should pay off. If you're really into your value. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy 28 starts off with the blessings. We talked about that in the previous video. We talked about the comparison of the commandments and love. Most people see the commandments as something we don't have to do. And I do mean most, and I do mean people in Christianity. They believe we've been delivered from the commandments because the law was imperfect and Jesus came and saved us and gave us grace and mercy so that we don't have to live by these standards anymore. And if you believe that, continue going to church, paying your tithes, and wondering what's wrong. And again, this is not against what Christians call church. This is about learning the principles of life. You got to take the good with the bad. Verse 2, all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. That's the Spirit of God. Verse 3, blessed thou in the city, blessed thou in the field. We quote this all the time in Christian churches. Bless the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind. They don't necessarily quote this part. And the flocks of thine sheep. I talked about the importance of being business owners. This is talking to the owners, not to the slaves, the employees. Bless thy basket and thy store. Savings account, investments. Basket is checking account. It's what you eat out every day. So in fact, in the basket is where you bring your offering in a basket. It could be a big basket or a little basket. Or if it's too big, they say sell it and then bring it to the place with the name of the Lord on it. Right? We've read all that, right? Remember? Verse 6. Bless thou when thou comes in, bless thou when thou goes out. All right, so we understand the blessing. Now, this is the part that we don't read in church. The Lord, verse 7, the Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. Let me stop there. You will have enemies. There's nothing wrong with having enemies. Your enemies will not be satanists and atheists. Your enemies will be people who call themselves Christian. I'm talking specifically to Christians, or people who specifically call themselves Muslims, or people that call themselves Jews. People who say they believe in God. They will not help you. You have to keep going. And I hope that's clear. And again, not a knock against anyone. These are just principles. This is how it works. Verse 7 again, reading the whole text. The Lord shall cause thy enemy that rise up against thee, they will rise up against thee, to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. They shall come up against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. Now, this is if you're walking according to the commandments, which is the love of God, which means that you don't have forgiveness issues, you don't have lust issues, you're not trying to take anything from anybody, and you're just trying to add value. You have to have the right heart condition for this to work. Some people become very successful and they play off their guilt, and their guilt drives them, or their anger drives them. And it still works, and they become successful. The problem with that is that your anger and your guilt causes imbalances in your mind and your body. Not that you can't make it work, but it doesn't bring wholeness to your journey. It's better not to have the anger and the guilt, but you have to have the drive to keep moving forward when your enemies are waiting for you to fall on your face. I'm here to tell you, you can move forward through almost anything. The only thing I think you can't move forward on is when you're dead. But even then, if you've done a great job, you still have a legacy who is still moving forward. If you're dead, it doesn't matter. Hear me on this. Without the willingness to love, the commandments, which is to love thy neighbor as thyself in the New Testament, but it's spelled out how to love thy neighbor and thyself in the Old. if you're paying attention. Verse 8, the Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses, savings and investment. Savings really is just for an emergency account to pay the bills. So the storehouse is really your investment. That's where you put the seed to plant the ground, the fertilizer. You don't put the fruit in the storehouse because it rottens. You give, you share, collaborate, barter, fruit. Verse 8 again. The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouse. You have to have a storehouse. You have to have an investment account. You gotta. You can't ask for money for the storehouse if you don't have an investment account. So you have to put the structure together. For some, you need an estate plan. You can't command the blessing if you don't have the structure in place. We're trying to do multiple things here with this commentary. And again, I promised you at the beginning that I would speak 21st century language. Because a lot of people don't. What is a storehouse? I'm telling you, you have to have something to invest. And in all that thou setst thine hand unto, he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God give thee. The Lord shall establish thee a holy people, separated people. The Lord shall establish thee a holy people unto himself, as he has sworn unto thee, because you follow the commandments. You live according to his statutes, judgments, ordinances, his commandments. Love. If you're New Testament, that would be love. You actually walk in love with those you don't like, because you listen to the voice of the Lord pertaining to them. So those who essentially focus on listening to the voice of the Lord as it pertains to themselves and their safety and security, and some would say complacency, and ignore the voice of the Lord as it pertains to others, cannot be exceptional. Notice he says he's not going to establish you. He says he's going to establish the people. If you're an ambassador representing a kingdom and you're centrally focused on you, you cannot be centrally focused on the people. You're not bringing value. In fact, let me just say this. What bothers me are those who preach, and again, not necessarily in just the church, although they're included. They preach a good message, but their involvement is not there. I remember working with this one person, and they were given an opportunity to physically show up, and they were trying to figure out how not to physically show up, and then had an attitude towards the person who was giving them the opportunity, but they didn't physically want to show up and actually do the work. trying to figure out how to do it the easiest way. The exceptional can't do that. They don't do that. They show up because it's all about the people. And you're all about bringing value, not just trying to get people to give you money. I mean, look at it. Look at your effectiveness with the core group that you already have. Are you showing up with them? And I bet you if you have a core group of people, the answer has to be yes. And if you look around yourself, you will find that the people that are around you are the people you show up for. But to be exceptional, it takes a couple of other elements, and I'm not going to get into right here. But one of those is following the commandments, love. And then the Bible says, the Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouse, and set thy hand unto you, and he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God gives thee. The Lord shall establish thee a holy people unto himself, as he has sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep. He swore unto their fathers. Legacy. If thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his ways. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I know that's Old Testament as well. But Jesus told the people to follow him, and he taught them to walk in his ways. He sent them out 2 by 2 after teaching them so that he can show them how spirits move as they go from door to door, bringing no purse at all, walking in poverty, bringing blessing, value to people. And they rejoice because they say even the demons tremble at your name. And he says, don't trip on that part. Learn the principles of showing up and bringing value into the lives of people. Whether they accept you or not, you're the exceptional one. Because your enemies will not accept you. That's part of it. That's part of it. Verse 10. And all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee. For no other reason other than you're bringing value. And let me tell you another thing that's going to happen. They're going to ask you, wow, how did you do that? And this is where we give God all the praise and all the glory. But I dare say, you should say, I did it based upon the laws of love. And I brought value to the lives of the people that are around me. Some rejected me, some accepted me. But I kept going because I stood on his promises, his statutes, his judgments. I dare say that's what Jesus did, New Testament. That's what Paul did, New Testament. Paul walked away from every single thing he had to bring value to the Roman leadership. Took a lot of bumps and bruises, but he accomplished the vision that God had given him. Truly, how many of you are willing to do that? Truly. He gave his life. Speaking of Saul of Tarsus or Paul the Apostle, same person. One delivered, one undelivered. One persecutor, and one who delivered the ones who were persecuted to the best of his ability. You want to be exceptional? It's okay not to want to be, but don't act like you are, while being the enemy of those who are interested in being exceptional. CashApp $TheMrPaulDozier. CashApp $TheMrPaulDozier. If you believe in this ministry or service, this commentary, please feel free to give. It would be helpful. If you're in America, Zelle, paulcdozier@gmail.com. paulcdozier@gmail.com. I challenge you to give. If you're interested in reading, you can read one of the books on Amazon Books. 2 are highlighted here on the screen. Ghetto Education in the Christ Culture, some of my experiences. If this video or audio or however you're listening or watching this is helpful to you, please like and share it on whatever platform you see it on. Today it's on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. I would certainly appreciate it. This is my personal Bible study, so study to show yourself approved. I would appreciate that. And thank you for taking this journey with me, and thank you for taking this journey with us who feel like we are called to usher in the kingdom of heaven.